Sorry, guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I think I messed up, right? Sorry about that. A little malfunction. Yeah, sorry about that. Gonna see. Is my camera offline? Let's see. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm gonna see if I can get back with the cam as well. I was doing too much at the same time in the background, and it died on me. It died. Now my camera is gone. Gonna see if I can. Need it. Read streaming book to get to 70 skill. That is correct. That is correct. Why is my camera dead? Okay. The thing is, I'm using the NVIDIA broadcast and it doesn't seem to load it there as well. I'm not sure why. Strange. Strange. What the hell? Oh well, maybe I have to ignore the camera. You don't have to see me. I'm just gonna start one thing and then I will get back to you guys 1 second. Crossbow is going to be added. Yes, Crossbow is one of the upcoming weapon groups that we will add to the game. We have different types of shields coming, like tower shields, kite shields, and we have crossbows as one weapon group, yes. We get NVIDIA Reflex with boost soon. I'm not sure. Do we need it? You think? About crouching or crawling, I love the idea of hiding and not watching people sneak around. So we are planning to add a crouching function, but not as a quick command where you do crouching up and down in mid-fight. It doesn't really fit and belong. But we do plan to add it as a part of adding to a sneak. There's a measurement for how AI can detect you both hearing and seeing, and obviously crouching will reduce that factor even more, and it also allows you to sneak and hide a little bit better, I guess. Why the hell is my camera not running is the big question. Let me try one more thing. What happened with the cameraman? Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. It's a sneaky bastard. Alright, I think I got it. I did. We're back. It's my NVIDIA broadcast that needed a little reboots. Alright, we're back. We'll be able to bind commands on hotbar and key bindings. Yes, that is some of the quality of life. We want to offer a bit more key bindings and hotkeys. We got requests from players that wanted to have directional strikes bindable as well on hotkeys, and I think that makes sense and fits, and we'll try to make it happen. What is the point in watching this? Is not providing any useful info at all. Anyone hear the truth about the game? Hello, Hessler. Thank you for trolling as usual. You know, there's a lot of new players showing up, and obviously they have the opportunity to talk with us, and I make updates on everything. So every Thursday we have streams with the community, and it's me and or sometimes someone else in the team, yeah, we will keep doing these weekly streams, and that is a good opportunity for anyone to jump in and interact with us. And again, you know, many times you guys have good options in terms of quality of life requests and such, and sometimes we find those in any of these streams as well, and it can make things better in the game as well. So it's a good opportunity for all of us, including me, to have an interaction with you guys. The weather effects are very loud. I think we actually lowered them a bit a few patches ago, but yeah, they may be still be a little bit loud perhaps. Why can you not deploy update now? So the reason for that is since we are live and not in a beta state anymore, everything is persistent. We need to be very careful about not adding, you know, anything critical bug or making it something worse. That would be moving backwards rather than forward. So we do need some certain time to go through the changes, verify them, test them, and confirm them, and then we deploy them. And you know, we can only do so much per day, and then we need some sleep, which means that it's not practical to crunch through until we are half awake and then put it live. And what if something goes bad, and then we need to crunch through even more and collapse. We need to be careful and be able to make sure that we can maintain and control our work steps and deliver the patches. So I hope that makes sense. Will you be adding cinematic camera views? What do you mean? We have the F10 option to disable all user interface if you want that pure real life experience. Obviously it's gonna be more difficult to fight when you don't see your crossbar or hit points, but many use that for do some recordings or just take some shots in the world. Your entire team are absolutely amazing for the entire gaming community. I hope that the entire industry follow your lead. Thank you for making such a fantastic game with a wonderful community. Thank you. And again, thank you guys for being here, supporting us and making this possible. That is, you know, equal importance. So you got so much work to do, but you stream for 4 hours. So I'm the CEO and designer of the game, and I'm not a hardcore coder, and I'm not a 3D artist either. So there's only so much I can do in certain areas when we are working on a patch and deploying it. I mean, there's always a lot of work for me. That's how it is. But I think it's a value in it for me to spend some of my free time rather than just sitting and chilling and relaxing a little bit, because, you know, everyone needs that a little bit as well. I do think it's a value to spend some of that time in here with you guys. As I said, it's very giving for us. You know, we get something valuable from it, out of it. And as I said, as long as you think there's a value in it and interested in it, I still think that is worth doing every Thursday. But yeah, like I said, it obviously depends if you think it's valuable and interesting as well. Loving the game. Congrats to the release. Thank you. Thank you. I like the inform. Oh wow, there goes fast again. You're the CEO. Don't listen to those people. Huge value talking to your customer bases. Thank you for doing this. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not easily offended or you know pushed away. I can tell you that. That is something I learned over the years as well. Since I wanted to start this project, there's always someone that are either jealous, mad, or upset, or anything goes, right? Again, that's life. If you can't handle that, then you know it's gonna be more difficult, right? And so I think we all in this team learn to harden up a little bit. We try to get proper feedback, read it from you know adult civil criticism and feedback. That is important for us. But it's clear when it's coming from not an adult or you know not being serious. So it's something we learned. Highly value this type of communication. It is so lacking from other companies these days. I'm glad you think so. When new content are released, is sailing planned to be released at the same time? So there's a few things. So sailing will be its own feature, but for sailing to be even more valuable, we obviously need to have some proper water deep sea content, right? So that comes in one big patch. And then we do have our underwater continent that obviously we should have ships and boats obviously to be able to deliver that content with that continent to be also again useful and logical, because that is your main way to reaching that continent using ships. So it will be in that order. You will have a ship patch with a lot of water content that you know allow you to be a pirate and have you know play using ships. And along with that, there will be more water on the water content. And then sometime after that, we will release the underwater continent. NVIDIA Reflex helps reduce input latency, which can help with parry blocking system. Yeah, I looked into that system a bit. I wasn't sure, you know, how beneficial it could be for us and our game, since, you know, comparing a game like, you know, again, Counter-Strike, those games that are very Twitch-based, extreme reflexes, and every, you know, pixel counts, and it's a local, regional-based network solution, a maximum, you know, 16 players or so. It's quite a different type of network solution in gaming experience, where it perfectly makes sense to utilize those latency improvements, especially in those games for sure. In our game, I guess there's a little bit more headroom for a delay in latency, and the accuracy is obviously not exactly comparable to those games because the nature of how technology works. So I'm not sure how much of a difference that you will notice. But I could be wrong. It could be that you notice a difference. So it could be worth looking into. But right now, we don't really have the time. People have been unable to play since yesterday. How is this fair from people staying in game over 24 hours, macroing or farming gold skills? So every minute people log out and log in. It's just a struggle in the login, and the crash makes it more difficult. And like I said, we do plan to patch this tomorrow. That will improve things. But it's still possible because every minute, like I said, we have people logging in and logging out. I think most people are happy to take time. Yeah, I mean, I think logical, we all understand it's necessary and that's how things work. But we also understand frustration, of course. You know, we all want something directly, right? When you buy something, you want everything correctly, you want it perfect. That's understandable, and that is what we're trying our best in deliver. But we also try to be very clear and transparent in terms of this will be some chaos, no doubt, in release, which I stated many times throughout the beta, because we all know, most of you guys know as well that any MMO release includes some chaos. It's the nature of how things works. But you know, the key point is to getting back on track in those areas as soon as possible, and that's what we are doing everything we can on. Aren't you afraid that most players will be turned away due to it being a subscription base? You have a very good reasoning for the subscription base, but I fear that you won't get a flooding of new players due to this, and the game will fizzle out in struggling economy. I love the game that we've seen so far, but myself and most people I know can't justify enough to pay $15 a month. Will there be deals for a yearly subscription? Yes, there will be 1, 3, 6 month, even maybe 1 year packages with discounts. And I think you're right that there are people that think that this is not for them. They don't like a monthly subscription. But I think it's important, as long as they get the information of why. We don't just pick it because, any random reason. We pick it because you should have the best gaming experience. We do this for you as well, because we know that the game experience will offer you something much greater. And if you consider that, maybe you can try it and see if that is something for you. So that is what we're doing and trying. And also, like I said, we don't need millions of players, especially the first year. That's never really been a practical goal for us. We are happy with the amount of players we have right now, even much more than we anticipated and could have guessed. We had long-term goals set up, and we already by far surpassed those goals. So we want to make sure now that we do things carefully and correct, move forward, and maintain stability and grow every year. That is our main goal. The patch with solve login problem will be released tomorrow afternoon CET. I don't know exact time, but the goal is tomorrow. Yes, somewhere. We usually go through some things early on to check status on patch, the test build, and then we're planning when is it practical to take live servers down to deploy patch and running again. So, but we will update you. We will post when we take down the servers and update throughout that process. And a better option for master leading stuff in your inventory for those who are grinding crafting skills. Yeah, we used to have an option for that people are requesting back again, and I think that is suitable to add back as soon as we can to again make things easier in terms of maintaining that. And I'm super behind again. I see. I will jump back down to see if I can catch a few more. I'm very okay with sub-based. Keeps a lot of the player base honest. That is one big important factor. It's true. Like I said before, you can't just download a game just to have fun and troll with people because it's free, which many will do when things are free because people may find that funny. We will reduce a lot of those, no doubt. Just a heads up, the crash is still happening. Yes, we are fully aware. And that crash, we have got your crash reports when you submit them. We have fixed that. We put it on test, confirmed. So far, it's not happening anymore. And we have additional things we're adding in this patch. And that is why we're adding deploying this patch tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow, no more crashes. And way to change your saltbone weapon. So if you're a dagger user, I mean, there is possibilities. We just didn't see it as necessary because everyone can start out with a basic sword and learn how combat works, and then it's up to you to experiment and figure out what weapon type are you looking for, and rearrange the skills however you see fit. The soulbound weapon are not meant to be extremely long-lasting item. It's more like a small, weak starting weapon that helps a new player even after death to stay on track to get going. So I'm not sure if we will add option. Maybe down the future it's a convenient small little option. Maybe we can. There are in queue, 5 crashes and Mo hoodie. Gator, I give up. Cyber Gene, I'm sorry to hear that. We are fully aware of the frustration. It hurts us as much as you. But like I said, hopefully tomorrow, no more crashes. We consider add clade experience for crafting, extraction, gathering, etc. Yeah, we're planning to add some more options for clade XP, and also, there are going to be additional more tasks options that also includes crafting and other types of work, which also rewards you in clade experience. So you will see that grow and expand over time as well. We ever add an option to purchase a second character slot? So we will evaluate and go back to the diva question a little bit later, not right now, but just in very short. The diva was meant to offer you another character which is kind of like a sibling to your main character, which also shares the reputation and all that, because reputation is something we want to do that it matters in our game, your name and reputation. And the diva plan was to design a link between your two characters, but also to give you that additional option as a playstyle eventually. But it's too early right now to comment the exact details and the final decision on that right now. We designed the game heavily on being one character and to be, have a proper certification in terms of splitting the skill system to be able to be a fully crafter in any way or terms, but also the action tree going fully depth in any of those, which wasn't the case in the first game. But we know that there are still so many options to choose from, which makes it very difficult to pick right. But it's also one of the interesting points where player trade and demand and mixing groups and tactical points and strength and uniqueness with your character build makes it also very valuable and interesting, right? So we want to be very careful in how we're handling that. Borderlands 2 is the best MMO I've ever seen. I had the pleasure of trying it out in the stress test beta. A big, huge from an admirer of Brazil. Bad Boy BR TV, thank you, and we're happy to hear that. Been in queue for 30 minutes. What's going on? We know it's a struggle currently, and there's also a crash that may happen when you're in a queue. That crash should be gone tomorrow, and the queue and capacity should be greatly improved. There are several people logging in and out every minute, so you may be lucky and get in at any time, but you may also be unlucky and unfortunately crash in worst case scenario. Doing a good job and you look tired. Time to break soon, Henrik. Yeah. I'm gonna take a break soon. I'm just gonna go through a few more questions, I think. Closest, are we really gonna let people crash then? I mean, we have several thousand that are playing perfectly fine. There is, people in the queue that goes into the game every minute. So it's by far everyone that, have these crashes every now and then. We all can get them, but we are not all getting them at any time. If everyone was crashing and no one can play, then obviously we would, look into what is the best option. Do we let it run or not? But currently it's, fully crowded. People are playing, people logging out and in every minute, leaving their spot for others as well. We have to press infinite queuing as well as enter nave crashes. Yes, when you click the enter nave or you can get a crash. And yes, that is the crash we have fixed as well. Glad I never had a queue and enjoy my time in Haven. Yeah, Haven is no queue. You can always get into Haven, so that is one option as well. You can then play the game as much and long as you can on Haven without any queues. It's one option right now. Crash is gone, great. What about the queue? So, like I said, any peak time of any of these games, there may always be a queue. But the thing is, when you have several thousand of players in the game and you have all time zones, one world solution, that means there are several hundreds of players ending their game session for the day almost every minute, which means that queue time shouldn't be too long. Obviously, we need to measure how many more new players showing up, buying and getting into that queue. If that is rapidly growing, much more so, making the queues growing into an insane amount, obviously we need to act and look at pausing sales. But as long as we see a huge rotation in the queue, several hundred players getting into the game and playing, that is a huge amount of players getting to play the game. Obviously crashing, which means you lose your queue, that is bad, because that means you just got unlucky and didn't get into the game. So that is obviously something we absolutely need to fix. But I would say that during peak times, as long as we have the size we have in the world, we are working heavily on the load distribution. Like I said, that is also one of the parts we're deploying tomorrow to offload hotspots. That is a huge demand on the servers. That will allow us even more players to go through the queue, and that means rotation will be even faster. So it's when you're on a queue line for entering the club, you know, sometimes you have to stand a few minutes and then you get in. But usually, you know, it may be a very fast queue. That could happen when they're peak quite naturally. Just like when you're playing other games like Tarkov or such, you know, there's quite often a queue, especially on peak times, right? You know, it's again, it comes down to what kind of games do you want to do. Do we want to stick to the core feature that makes it unique, one world solution, or do we want to go the World of Warcraft route, instances all over the world? The whole core mechanics of the game changes. That is why we haven't taken those steps, and I'm quite sure that most of you guys wouldn't want us to take that step. That is what makes Mortal 9 unique. So that is why we're working very hard on improving this to a level that is, you know, fully accepted, and we all know how it works. This game will be so badass on Oculus. Yes, we will have VR support along with Unreal 5 engine. I'm not sure exactly when, but that is in the plans. What's your plan solution for making the world feel less empty? So that is something we're following up through on a daily basis, looking at the data, looking at all AI and spawns and animals in the world. The thing is, we have so many creatures in the world, wildlife, but obviously if players doesn't go there, you never see them, right? The huge world consumes so many animals without any effort. We have added thousands of creatures in every big patch when it comes to adding wildlife, including this patch today. We add several hundreds of spawners, which gives additional 1,000 animals spread out in the world to encounter. And like I said, we want to find a good balance here so it doesn't feel too empty, but at the same time, we don't want to transfer it into World of Warcraft, where every different region has the different types of animals you step through. So it's something we are following up regularly to see what kind of adjustment or additions we may need to do. So, for instance, in this patch, we added around 1,000 creatures, and we reduced horse spawner a bit, so they spawn faster. We have over 1,000 horses in the world that you can find. Obviously, depends heavily on if you have tamed and killed them as a player, but they respawn quite faster now compared to pre-patch. Got 2 days off to play. Those 2 days were sitting in queue. Dang. Yeah, I feel you. And of course, it hurts me to hear that. It's the last thing we want to cause on you guys. You know, we do everything we can to get on track on it as soon as we can. And we're not starting any subscription timers either, to make sure that you don't have to worry about wasting valuable time days as well when it's not where we want it to be. Why can't we sword fight each others? On Haven you can't fight at all, or PvP. On Milan you can. What was the philosophy of the PvP in Mortal 9 2, and how did you approach balancing the PvP for this game? Are there any clear winners for the best weapons, or is it a case of skill being more important than gear? So the first thing is, for sure, player skills. That is number one. Secondly, obviously, it matters if you have a decent gear or a crappy gear. If there's two equal or very skilled PvP players, then your gear will be a factor for sure. So, you know, someone with really good gear have that additional advantage. Your armor may reduce a little bit more damage, your weapon do a little bit more damage, so that may help you in the fight. But yeah, balancing in multi-line, that is a never-ending project, and we learned so much when it comes to this from the first game, which we are extremely happy for having. So we know what more or not to do this time around, because obviously it affects the players the greatest. So just years of balancing and trying these different groups, seeing what doesn't work, what isn't used, and what is being used, what is the meta and all that. That is something we're following throughout the years to see why that is and how we can tweak them to change that outcome. And that is something we're doing heavily since the combat beta, to promote as much player skills as possible, and group coordination and group skills. Teamwork is a very strong factor when it comes to from small scale wars to large scale wars. You can be very talented and good at PvPing in a solo duel someone, but it's quite a different thing when you're fighting in a real war scenario as a small group or a large group. Team play and team coordination extremely vital then as well, and that's what makes the game extremely fun as well when it comes to fighting. There's nothing greater feeling than running around with your teammate or guild and having a well done executed plan or teamwork against enemies or mobs, bosses. So we simply gone through the balance in terms of, okay, we want to make sure that all these groups make sense and have a purpose in the game. The different groups have different strengths and cons, which you will learn quite quickly when you play the game. For instance, hammers may be a more challenge to get a sweet spot on, hit perfectly, but they also have the highest blunt damage, which is very powerful against most armors, especially heavy armor. Sword is a classic, well-rounded weapon that gives you good range, easier sweet spot since it's the whole blade that is traced. This is real-time traces. Everything you see is what you get, which is also making it quite complex and interesting. Axes, somewhere more in the middle, you have a mix of blunt and slash damage, while the sweet hit spot is usually a little bit easier than many hammers, but also a little bit trickier than swords. And then it's the range and how you use them. There's collision if you are in a crowded area or not. So it's been a long journey. And what's exciting is that when we look at the data, there's not just one meta, and that is our goal. We know that we can never make PvP perfectly balanced. There's no such thing in this type of game world, because everything changes in the different dynamics of the scenario in the game. And also we have more and more content being added that can also be used as tools in combat and be used in creative ways. But as long as we can see there's a huge usage of hammers, axes, spears, and swords, and even daggers, then we know that, we're in a pretty good balance, because everything is being used in different ways. And that is our main goal, at least, because we want that everything we create and produce and add to the game and spend much time in is being used. Same thing with the clades and races. In the first game, there was 2 options. In this game, all the clades is a good option for different styles. And it's beautiful to see. First time ever we see all clades being used, and that is exactly what we wanted. Dagger for life. And it's cool because we put daggers intentionally a little bit underpowered, because daggers gets fully to shine along with poisoning. Poisoning with assassination skills comes later, which obviously gonna be most effective using on daggers. So there's at least little headroom for poisoning as well. But poison will be able to be applied to a lot of things, but it will have different types of effects. When it's Unreal 5, we don't have an exact date, but sometime after we have got everything in control, we're gonna work on finalizing our roadmap, and I think Unreal 5 may be on that roadmap. It's a little bit too early to say yet, but we will announce it sooner or later. Was Ashram's Call part of the inspiration for Mortal Kombat 2? There are so many similarities. The fact is that the heaviest inspiration comes from Ultima Line, which is the first client-based MMO. Ashram's Call sometime thereafter, which is also a very good game that many people enjoyed. But most inspiration comes from Ultima Line, and many games actually took a lot of inspiration from that game, also in different types of forms, including Ashram's Call. So that, I guess, that is also why, you resemble a lot of things. There's some core basic coming from both games. Will the game support VR? Yes, eventually it will support VR along with Unreal 5. And you say there is no queue in Haven, but that's not true. I have a queue for Haven right now. So yeah, initially when we launched, we had one problem where almost all traffic came to one server, and those characters were saved on that character. So if you load out, or crashed as we had on that node on the first day, you are still saved on that Haven, which means all those players that were playing that since then are still loading up there, including new players. That has slowly been flushed out since they're leaving Haven, but it's still the most pressured Haven server that we have. We have followed that the whole day actually for this very reason, because we want to make sure the distribution is correct on Haven as well. But if that is the case, then that could be the case again, that more of those that were logged out are logging back in on the same Haven. But the pressure is not that extreme, so that queue should be minimum. Is the plan with VR to be head tracking for camera only, or will the control be fully integrated to VR? The controls is a second chapter, so we'll first start with rendering the game in VR using still keyboard and mouse. That is a bit more straightforward, even though we need to work quite a bit on the user interface and some of the effects. That doesn't just simply work on VR without modification and some work. That is the first step, and it's a very cool step because that means you can enjoy the world in 3D, which is going to be awesome. The next step that we will look into sooner or later is how we could incorporate an interesting control using with VR. But that could be a quite larger task. So, I can't really comment on that anymore, at this point in detail at least. Which Haven server number is that? Should we suggest people leave it? We actually did one of those server measures on that typical server in Haven that got that issue with too many players going to specifically that one. That made players be able to leave that Haven too, because then that means they will never go back there, and that will offload that peak of player that is saved to continue there. And that was the main issue. And that has slowly gone down over the time, but as long as the randomness factor sends them out more slowly, it may get more again, especially if those old one logs back in. And that is, I guess, what is happening right now if there's a small queue. So if you're on a Haven that is very crowded, there's the option to move to another Haven. I guess it would be more walkers for you, and those that are bound to that Haven will not have a long queue. But I'm pretty confident that queue shouldn't be very long. But I could be wrong, I guess. Yeah, I think that is it for me to start wrapping things. But yeah, I wanted to, like I said, continue doing these Thursday streams, and I wanted to give you this update. And yeah, I'm feeling my eyes is getting dry right now. But I think it's important to have a good communication so people know that we are working on this. And we appreciate your support. Thank you for all donations and subscriptions, and for your questions. And we're looking forward to tomorrow with additional improvements. Yeah, hopefully things will be a lot smoother and improved for tomorrow, so we can have a even better weekend. That is our goal and hopes. Should we do a little raid? We have a lot of people streaming. Is there any particular you want us to raid? There's quite a few and good veterans that have a lot of good tips and tricks and can also answer a lot of gaming questions if there's any new players in here. Jonah Vale, yeah, he's becoming a pro Mortal player. He'll learn a lot, and he teaches a lot of new players. So I guess I can do a raid over there, so you can also ask him a lot of game questions. You have a lot of tips on builds and tips and tricks. So any new players can always ask him stuff. He's very helpful when it comes to that. Give someone small. I mean, yeah, I could give to anyone. I try to rotate it. I don't know who else. I mean, there's a lot of people. And you know, it's good if it's someone that can answer questions as well, right? Vineyard. Jonah can help. Send us to Jonah. Temujin. Yeah, I will. Yeah, my eyes is drying up. I can't even see. I will do a raid to Jonah this time, and then I can do other rotations upcoming. He will be able to answer a lot of questions. I know that. So any newcomer, he will help you. I guess there's many more that can help, but I'm getting too tired, guys. I'm gonna see if I can find my raid button, and I will get some rest for today. Where are we? Here. All right, guys. Again, it's a pleasure to hang out with you guys, and we really appreciate your support. And thank you so much for today. Tomorrow gonna be a new day. We're gonna have a solid patch, hopefully. And I hope to see you soon again. Have a good night. And see you soon. Bye-bye. Oh my god, another one. Another one. Thank you so much. All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much again, and see you soon. Bye-bye.